And of course, for any of the young companies here, the goal is to do what Eric Hippeau recently did. Of course, he was one of the early investors in Huffington Post, became its CEO, and then oversaw the sale to AOL. And now he's getting back to the business of finding new companies, working with Lerer Ventures. And I think you're going to oversee about $25 million in a new fund. Is that correct?
That's right. We just raised a new fund, Lerer Ventures 2. That's $25 million, specifically for angel investing. So really early stage seed in angel level, mostly in New York.
And what about the types of companies you're going to be investing in? Obviously, a lot of companies here today that would like to get your attention, but what kinds of companies excite you right now?
Well, I think today the themes are pretty well known. So everything has to be social. So whether it's commerce or media or advertising, everything has to be social. Mobile is very, very important. In fact, we're seeing companies that are starting to design on mobile before they design even for the web. And it's going to be obviously a big market. So you've got to be able to address, and so disruption, in as much as that's still possible, is important.
I saw you speaking earlier with Carolyn Everson of Facebook. Of course, one of the things she was talking about today is how you convince brands to bring all their advertising dollars online. You guys had a lot of success with that with the Huffington Post. What is the secret to that?
I don't think you'll ever have all the advertising. I think that the other media, TV and print to some degree, will always be important because they address a different audience or maybe an older audience. But it's still true that the advertising, the level of advertising has not followed the eyeballs. Social is really kind of the trigger. Social marketing, social advertising is of enormous interest for the brands. And you're starting to see major programs, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, General Electric, IBM, etc., are starting to shift a lot of dollars onto digital because of social.
AOL's purchase of Huffington Post may not have had the biggest price tag on any deal that's out there, but it is certainly a deal that turned a lot of heads. What do you think is going to be the next deal that gets a lot of headlines for what it says about where we're going?
Well, I think what was important about the Huffington Post is that it put a lot of value. You can decide whether it's enough value or not. Right? For me, it was enough. You put a lot of value on quality content, and that's really one of the first deals where we had assembled a team of journalists. We were doing original quality content, and we got a high price for it. And I think that bodes well for everybody else who's doing that kind of work.
What about traditional media companies? Some have been reluctant to buy companies in social media. Do you think that's going to change? And who do you think? Which big media companies do you think are going to start buying up? Maybe some of the companies that you're going to be investing in?
I hope so. That would be great. It is going to change because what you're seeing is a bit of a changing of the guard. You're seeing that people who maybe 5-6 years ago were a few years away from retirement are leaving or are about to leave, and they're being replaced by new executives who are typically in their 30s and 40s, who get digital, who get social, and they understand that the future of their traditional media company really lies in being big in digital.
And what about for the aging technology companies? You were on the board of Yahoo for a while. They've got an investor day tomorrow. They feel like they have to constantly explain their message to Wall Street. What does a company like Yahoo do you think, right now?
Well, excuse me. As a rule, I don't comment on companies that I am or was on the board of. I think that we're definitely seeing a new generation of technology, and when you're a technology company, you constantly have to stay up to speed. And one of the themes in investing today is that what we're seeing is companies which are starting to disrupt the original, the initial. I'm not saying this is going to be the case of Yahoo, but definitely the first commerce company are being disrupted by the social commerce companies. And it's why? Because it's been 15 years already. And that technology, if you haven't moved forward, has become stale, and new companies come along.
Eric, appreciate your time. That's Eric Hippeau of Lerer Ventures joining us here at TechCrunch Disrupt.